Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. And after saying that they were going to be sentencing Lucy after 2 p.m. British time, they have actually seemed to start early and they have sentenced her. Maybe you've seen it, maybe not. But I just wanted to, I promised that I would come with the sentence, come on live with the sentence. So I just want to give you the summaries, if you like, of what the judge said. So basically, he began by saying the defendant has refused to attend court for this sentencing hearing. Accordingly, I have to sentence her in her absence. Then he condemns the gross breach of trust in his sentencing remarks. He said she acted in a way that was completely contrary to the normal human instincts of nurturing and caring for babies, and in gross breach of the trust that all citizens place in those who work in the medical and caring professions. The babies you harm were born prematurely, and some of them are at a risk of not surviving, but in each case you deliberately harmed them, intending to kill them. He went on to say there was premeditation, calculation, cunning in your actions, and he said that she relished in being in the intensive care unit where she took an interest in uncommon complications and targeted twins and triplets. He then said she prided herself on her professionalism, which enabled her to start harming children without suspicion. Mr. Justice Goss said Lucy Letby took opportunities to harm babies while staff were on breaks. He said you knew that the last thing anyone working in that unit would do, would or did think that was that someone caring for the babies was deliberately harming them. And he said handover sheets relating to all but the first 4 babies were found when the police searched Letby's home. He said, I'm satisfied you started to keep these documents after the initial attacks in June 2015 as morbid records of the dreadful events surrounding the collapses of your victims and what you had done to them. Right, okay, so maybe that's why, because not now in the UK, isn't it, we can see sentencing live, supposedly, but it's explaining here that the video of Mr. Justice Goss's sentencing remarks for Lucy Letby at Manchester Crown Court this afternoon will cut out on occasions to protect the identities of their victims and their families. So she's not there. He went on to say, the impact of your crimes has been immense. He said lifelong harm had been caused after Letby targeted babies whose lives were cut short almost as soon as they began, all in horrific circumstances. He added, loving parents have been robbed of their cherished children. You have caused deep psychological trauma. He said it was not part of his role to reach conclusions about the underlying reasons for Letby's actions, nor could I, said the judge, for they are known only to you. Now, he gave her a whole life order, but as far as I believe, he's given her a whole life order for every one of the babies that she murdered. Anyway, the nurse murdered 7 babies and tried to kill 6 more while working at the Countess of Chester Hospital neonatal unit between 2015 2016. Gosh, the havoc that you wreak on so many people in such a short time. Only 3 women have previously been handed a whole life order, which has no minimum term. So she will spend the rest of her life in prison. After having been given a whole life order, she will never be considered for release unless there are exceptional compassionate grounds to warrant it. So she has today become only the 4th woman in UK history to receive a whole life order, and I'm sure they mentioned, I wonder if it goes on, yeah, a whole life order for each offence. That is quite unheard of. Anyway, and he says, by their nature and number, such murders and attempted murders by neonatal nurse entrusted to care for them is a case of very exceptional circumstances. He said this was a cruel, calculated and cynical campaign of child murder. He added, you killed 7 fragile babies and attempted to kill 6 others. Some of your victims were only a day or a few days old. All were extremely vulnerable. He said there's a malevolence bordering on sadism in your actions, and during the course of this trial you've coldly denied any responsibility for your wrongdoing. You have no remorse. There are no mitigating factors. Sentencing her to a whole life order for each offence, he said you will spend the rest of your life in prison. So after the sentencing, he has now addressed the families of the victims present. For those of you who have lost a child, you have my sincerest condolences. I'm deeply conscious of your losses. Your life's work and will remain transformed by these events. Now, I'm just going to stop sharing that for a minute because I'm going to just, sorry, I had to, hi all. I had to just get on with it because it just suddenly came out of nowhere. Hi, Wendy. Yes, good sentencing. That Peter Bleaksley did say he thought it would be a whole life tariff. Hi, Saskia. Hi, David. Yes, he was. Peter Bleaksley was right. So, now when I was just watching the TV before, because it just came out of nowhere. I could have been doing that, but anyway, it just came out of nowhere. It was supposed to be at 2:00. The sentencing. Well, it's not even. It's only 1:20, is it, in the UK? So I'm not sure how that all happened. But anyway, it's done now, and it's a good result. I was just watching Snaky Rishi Sunak talking about it and how terrible it was, and it just makes me laugh how they talk about it as if about her not going up into the courtroom for the sentencing. I wonder if I can get that. Because to me, he was talking about as if, oh, it's terrible that she shouldn't have been allowed, that she should have been allowed to not go up into the courtroom. But he's saying that as if he had nothing to do with it. He's the government. Their government's been in power for 13 years. You know, why haven't they changed that before now? Why is it taken this to suddenly this is a big thing? I, of course, can't find it now. See if I can find it. You know, they're just full of, it's all about, they just talk. This has come up now, there'll be a big talk about it, how terrible it is, shouldn't be allowed, etc. And no, I can't find the video at the moment. You know, just be a big talk, but you know, they've had the opportunity to change all that. Hi, Maid of the Wave. That's an unusual name, Maid of the Wave. Hi, Caroline. Yeah, I'm a bit annoyed that I wasn't actually here because there were bits where the judge was speaking and we could watch them, but for some reason it was all brought forward. I suppose with courts and things, you can't, you know, there's rarely an actual, you know, the judges don't go, they don't really go by oh, look, I think I might have found a video of the judge speaking, so let's see. Let's see if we can watch this video of the judge.
Over a period of just under 13 months, you killed 7 fragile babies and attempted to kill 6 others. Some of your victims were only a day or a few days old. All were extremely vulnerable. They were in a hospital where others were striving to provide them with dedicated medical and nursing care. By their nature and number, such murders and attempted murders by a neonatal nurse entrusted to care for them are offences of very exceptional seriousness. The damaging impact of your actions on others working at that hospital, including those who numbered you as a friend, betraying their trust and creating upset and suspicion, as well as eroding confidence in clinicians and nurses generally, aggravates their seriousness. This was a cruel, calculated, and cynical campaign of child murder involving the smallest and most vulnerable of children, knowing that your actions were causing significant physical suffering and would cause untold mental suffering. You created situations so that collapses or causes of collapses would not be obvious or associated with you. You removed and retained confidential records of events relating to your crimes and checked up on bereaved parents. There was a deep malevolence bordering on sadism in your actions. During the course of this trial, you have coldly denied any responsibility for your wrongdoing and sought to attribute some fault to others. You have no remorse. There are no mitigating factors. In their totality, the offences of murder and attempted murder were of exceptionally high seriousness, and just punishment, according to law, requires a whole life order. Lucy Letby, on each of the 7 offences of murder and the 7 offences of attempted murder, I sentence you to imprisonment for life. Because the seriousness of your offences is exceptionally high, I direct that the early release provisions do not apply. The order of the court, therefore, is a whole life order on each and every offence, and you will spend the rest of your life in prison.
Right, there you go. That's the judge speaking. Now, he looked as if he was looking at someone then. I don't know if that's been beamed through to her in her cell or whatever. I mean, you know, it's, I don't know. Hi, Shelley. I'm back again, but I've got to go in a minute because I've got class. Yeah, so anyway, it's a good sentence. It's a just sentence. I know it won't bring for those families their little babies back, but it should hopefully give them some sort of satisfaction that, you know, a just punishment. Because how often do we see sentencing and you think, oh my God, you know, it's not a just punishment, it's not a just sentence. So, yeah, Peter Beatsley was correct in his assessment. I can't tell him that because I've been banned from Twitter, so I can't go on my Twitter account. I'll have to find him on my other Twitter account and tell him. But hi, Jim. So, yeah, so a whole life tariff for each one of the murders, isn't it? So, I mean, you know, I know she hasn't got one life, but that's quite unusual to give someone a whole life tariff for each one. And it's interesting because I suppose the repercussions of that are, if in the future, if she appeals, I don't know, they normally appeal, don't they? And if she was then, if any of those verdicts were overturned for any particular one of those babies, maybe, you know, in a retrial, if it was decided there wasn't enough evidence, she still would be under a whole life tariff because she's been given a whole life tariff for each separate one. You know, so I do. Well, no, there were 7, Wendy, weren't they? 7. Yeah, one word, good, Shelley. There were 7 murders that she's been found guilty of. It. There may be some more come out in the future. So she's received 7 life sentences, isn't it? 7 whole life tariffs. So, my point that I'm saying is, I presume from that, that means that even if one of those convictions in the future is quashed or overturned for whatever reason, unless all of them are overturned, she's still not coming out, is she? Now, I've got a little bit of sympathy for her family, obviously. A lot of sympathy for her family. And I've got a little bit of sympathy. I mean, she hasn't, I just, I'd like to know her reasons. And like the judge said, only she knows her reasons. You just can't get your head around. The thing is, you try and work out people's reasons, but you cannot get your head around the way some people's minds work, can you? You try and, but the thing is, you're trying to sort it out in your head why, but your head is not their head. You wouldn't want to live in their head, would you? So so there you go, that's it. That is the end of the story so far. She got life for the attempted murders as well, because that was there were quite a lot of them as well. Oh, so I see what you're saying. That's why you're saying Wendy made 14 life sentences. Let's go back to the let me just go back to the article. Oh, this just makes me so angry. So now we've got the Justice Secretary confirming that the government, Alex Chalk on Twitter, my favourite thing that I've been banned from, confirms that the government wants to change the law on criminals attending. Why it's doing this? Look, right, I'm going to just share this. I should be going really. Actually, I will go in a minute, but let me just. I want to share this. Because this makes me quite angry. It's a good job I'm not on Twitter, because I'd probably be on Twitter now, or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, or X, as it's called now. I'd probably be on there now having a go at this guy, because Lucy Letby is not just a murderer, but a coward whose failure to face her victim's family is the final insult. We are looking to change the law so offenders can be compelled to attend sentencing hearings. Now, I'm sorry, I'm not having this. Let's remember that his government has been in power for 13 years. So it's not they've just come into government and they're trying to change the system or whatever. They've done nothing about it for all that time. And now, because they'll do it because there'll be an election next year, and they'll be, oh my God, it's just clicked. They'll be jumping on this. Look what we've done. We've changed the law. Anyway, so apparently the family members are all in tears, bless. I was just trying to see. So, yeah, whole life order for each offence. Yeah, I think it is. You killed, I've just had a shiver then. You killed 7 fragile babies and attempted to kill 6 others. So, yeah, so that is 13. Lucky for some. 13 whole life tariffs then that she's received. So yeah, if at any point in the future, for whatever reason, any of those sentences get quashed, she's still being there for life. She won't, I've got a little bit of sympathy, because I know that her life in prison is going to be worse than most people's life in prison, because baby killers are like that now. So it'd be interesting to see what happens now. We should try it, because Bev Allitt, the previous, Lucy now is worse than her sentencing, her offences were worse than Bev Allitt's. But I think she is in a mental institution now rather than a prison, Whether Lucy would try and do that or not, I just don't know. But yeah, that's it's a good result. Can't say anymore. It's not often when we look at sentencings, you know, how many things have we been? We've had the inquest for Nicola Bulley. You know, we've looked at quite a few sentencing, you know, together, haven't we? And it's interesting. And we've looked at, I think it is stricter now than it was. We've also looked at cases where people were only given, you know, well, they call it a life sentence, but with a minimum of 19 years, say. So really, that's a 19-year sentence. It's not life. It's 19 years. As long as they behave well in prison, they get out for good behaviour. So it is nice to see what you would call a proper sentence, a sentence that is, you feel that, you know, short of the death penalty, which we haven't got, and I don't believe in the death penalty. Short of the death penalty, really, you couldn't get a more satisfying sentence than this. There's nothing more really that could be done. So there she is, being arrested. She knows, you can just see. See, this is the ironic thing. I know some people think, oh, she was a bit of a scapegoat and that. You can just see when you look at her face there, she knows she's never coming back to that house. And the only reason she knows that, because if you'd been arrested and you hadn't done anything, you'd be genuinely amazed, wouldn't you? You'd be like, well, this can't be. You'd be going mad. You'd just be going mad that somebody was trying to take you away for murdering babies. She hasn't got that look on her face. That look on her face is, it's that sinking feeling. She knows what she's done. She knows what she's now got to face, and it's all shows right there on her face, doesn't it? In my opinion. So anyway, there you go. I'm sure some of you disagree with that. Hi, Lady Dog Lover. Yes, she's been sentenced. She's received 13 life tariffs, one whole life tariff for each of her offences. Hi, Princess. Hi, Jojo. Yes, don't forget the like. And I'm going, oh, the thing is, it was such a, I had to come on so quick because it was so much sooner than it was supposed to be. I didn't have time. I was just putting together like a warning. But yeah, 13, you were nearly right, yeah. Well, you must be like me, Wendy, dyslexic with numbers. I'm certainly dyslexic with numbers. But yes, so we need to sort of have a little, well, celebration is not the right word, is it? Because she's still a murderer. But it's nice when you see somebody getting what I think is a just sentence, because for those families, it's bad enough what they've been through. Obviously, it's awful, terrible, everything that they've been through. But how much worse would it be if she hadn't been given what she's given? So. And there's more to come. May well be more to come. More babies, more prosecutions. And yeah, she deserves a sentence. She should have been dragged out, kicking and screaming, to face that. More importantly, she should have had to face the victim impact statements, more importantly than the sentence. That, to me, the families should have been able to look at her face to face and tell her, you know, the impact that she had on their lives, what her acts had on her lives. And that is, because that is the, yeah, Shelley, I like that, Judge, as well. That is the only, you know, because justice, that's the only bit of justice you get as the family of a victim, isn't it? That's the only opportunity you get. That person then will be whisked away and you'll never get, you might write them letters or whatever, but that's the only time that you get, only one time, brief time, that you get to look straight at them and tell them what effect they had on you. And that has got to mean something. So she should have been forced to face them. She should have been forced to face them. What's it like? Do you know, Shelley, how it is in Canada? Do you have to do people in courts have to face their victims? Jojo, some of it was shown live. Lucy wasn't there. The judge, yeah, just played. If you watch the video back, I just played the video, but some of it was cut out because the judges decided the names of the victims and the family are not allowed to be disclosed. So the majority of it was there. Would you know, Maid of the Wave, that's exactly what I was thinking here. I was thinking, God, why does anyone even go? Because you know, if you knew that you didn't have to, of course you wouldn't want to go and face him. But I wonder if it helps with your sentencing. You know, surely, you know, the way you are with the victims' families, you know, the remorse that you show. You see, for her, maybe she knew she was going to get that tariff anyway, and she just thought, well, I'm not going. Because in some cases, possibly, the more willing you are to show remorse, to face the victims, to, you know, make a statement to the judge, because you normally get an opportunity to make a statement as well, don't you? But yeah. Okay, I've got to love you and leave you. I'm going to make a video later about my Twitter ban. Oh, Claire, you always come in at the end. You always come in at the end. I'm sorry, I've got to go. Bless. Yes, I'm going to make a video about my Twitter ban, because the more I think about it, I just cannot believe it. I really think that this is something to do with Andrew Snowden, because I can't see what other reason. I mean, you know, I've put comments about the royal family for years. I'm a Republican. I'm often putting abolish the monarchy up there, or, you know, just some. I mean, I don't, you know, I don't say, oh, kill them all or anything like that. But I quite often make statements or like other people's comments that they've made about the royal family, because that's just me. I am a Republican, you know. And now, you know, nothing has ever happened before. So the only thing, and I've replied to Elon Musk's tweets many, many times. That's what he puts his tweets out for. He wants people to give an opinion. So the only thing I did yesterday that was any different from anything I've ever done before, because I have never done it before, was I hashtagged Andrew Snowden in a comment. And then suddenly I'm banned. I'm banned from Twitter. Very strange. And the comment, just to let you know what the comment was, one of the other ladies who comments on the Nicola Bulley case had made a comment about Andrew Snowden not disclosing something about the report from the domestic abuse, well, technically it's not a domestic abuse incident. We don't know that, but it feels like maybe it was. On the 10th of January, there's supposed to be a police report, because then after that you know, that the police were called to the house. After that, Nicola Bulley died, and whenever that happens, they have to do a special investigation. And so this girl, she made a comment. She included me in the tweet that she made. She hashtagged me, so I hashtag replied and said, "Oh yeah, what about that Andrew Snowden?" That was literally it. And but how would he get me? You know, how could that lead to being banned from Twitter? Anyway, I'm going to do a little video on it. I'll show you exactly what they say, exactly what the reasons are that you can get banned from Twitter according to their rules, and we'll take it from there. Okay. Right, I really have got, I know I'm always there. I've got to go. So remember to always live and love wise. I'll see you very soon in the next video. Till I see you again, may your God go with you. Thanks so much for being here. Sorry I've got to go. I'm so sorry.